Alexa Monroe walked into the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco that Thursday night wearing her favorite red heels, feeling jittery from coffee, and carrying a bottle of Veuve Clicquot champagne in her purse. She took out her phone to text her sister, Olivia, upstairs in one of the guest rooms. Getting on the elevator. It was always good to give Olivia a little more advance warning than most people. It didn't matter that Olivia had just made partner at her New York law firm. Some things didn't change. Oh no, was just about to get in the shower. Alexa got Olivia's text just as she stepped into the elevator. She laughed out loud as she pushed the number of her sister's floor, the laughter calming her nerves. Alexa couldn't wait to celebrate with her older sister, despite. No, maybe because their relationship was still tricky after all these years. The elevator glided in the air, in that smooth, noiseless way elevators in expensive hotels do, while Alexa checked her purse for the third time to make sure she'd tossed the fancy crackers and brie in there. They would need a pre-dinner snack to soak up all of that champagne, after all. She wished she'd found the time to make brownies the night before. Olivia loved her brownies. She spied the cheese and crackers in the corner of her purse, tucked away from the heavy champagne bottle. Just then, the elevator stopped with a jerk. A second later, the lights went out. "What's going on?" she said out loud to herself. A few seconds later, a dim light came on, but the elevator stayed motionless. She looked up and around, and jumped to see a man with a suitcase in the opposite corner of the elevator. "Were you here this whole time?" she asked. "What am I, a genie?" He grinned back at her. "I guess you don't really look like a genie." He was a tall white guy, with tanned skin, rumpled dark brown hair, and about a day's worth of scruff where a beard would be. She had a sudden urge to rub her hand on his cheek to see how prickly it was. How exactly had she missed seeing this man get on the elevator with her? "Thank you, I think. But isn't that what a genie would say?" he asked. "You're not claustrophobic, are you?" I don't think so." "Why? Were you going to bust us out of here with your genie powers if I said I was?" He laughed. "I guess you'll never know if I'm a genie now," he said. "Well, there was that time I got an MRI," she said. "Being inside that tiny machine wasn't much fun. Maybe I am claustrophobic. Sorry, you already lost your chance to see my powers." He moved to the front of the elevator and picked up the emergency phone. "Let's see if they can give us an ETA on getting out of here." She tried not to stare at him in the dim lighting, but she couldn't miss the opportunity to check out his butt in his perfectly fitted jeans. It was as good as the rest of him. She tried to wipe the grin off her face in case he turned around. Stuff like this never happened to her. Not the stuck in the elevator thing. Her life was full of minor crises like that. No, it was being stuck in an elevator with a hot guy that was the unusual part. She was always the one sitting on an airplane next to a chatty toddler, or a knitting grandma, or a bored college student. Never a hot guy to be found. After about a minute of him saying, okay, in progressively tenser tones, he hung up the phone. "Well," he paused and smiled at her. "Wait, I don't even know your name, my new elevator friend." "Alexa, and you, Genie?" "Drew. Nice to meet you, Alexa." "Drew, it's a pleasure, but... quote. Right, these circumstances are not ideal. So, the bad news is that there's a power outage in the whole hotel." Her phone lit up just then with a text from Olivia. "My power went out. Where are you?" "Ah, yes, I was just alerted to that." Alexa held her phone up before she texted Olivia back. "Whole hotel, I'm stuck in the elevator." "At least that means they were telling the truth," Drew said. "The good news, or so they tell me, is that they have generators, so the elevator should start moving shortly." She slid down to the floor, placing her purse gently beside her. "It would be a tragedy to break that champagne bottle. We might as well wait in comfort," she said. Her favorite red heels were relatively comfortable for the first 5 hours, but she'd been wearing them for 9+. He shrugged off his leather jacket, gifting her a glimpse of his stomach muscles as his gray t-shirt shifted. hot, funny guy who occasionally flashed his abs. Was it her birthday? So, are you a guest here, Drew? Where are you coming from? She asked him so she wouldn't stare. Just flew in from LA and you? He sat down next to her. Oh, I live here. Well, over in Berkeley, anyway. I'm just in the hotel visiting someone. He glanced at her phone, her shoes, and back up at her. A pretty special someone, with those shoes on, and all of that smiling you were doing when you didn't even notice someone else got on the elevator with you. A very special someone, she said, and his grin got wider. Wait, no, not that kind of special someone. My older sister. She's in town from New York for work. Yep, this was how she usually acted around hot guys. Scared to make eye contact, stared at his abs, said something awkward. Ah, he laughed. Okay, yes, I did think it was that kind of special someone. Do you two have a hot night in the city planned? She crossed her legs and adjusted her black wrap dress so she didn't accidentally flash her underwear at this dude on top of everything else. Sort of. We're celebrating. She just made partner at her law firm. Alexa smiled down at her purse full of treats before looking back up at him. Not even cheese could compete with this dude. He narrowed his eyes at her. Light brown eyes, with a really dark rim around them. His eyes were so pretty that she looked away again. Thank God her brown skin meant her cheeks couldn't get too pink. Otherwise he'd be able to see them glow in the dark. Okay. I'm happy for your sister, but what is in that bag? You keep looking at it like it holds the Holy Grail. She laughed. Just champagne and a few snacks. The plan is to drink the champagne here and then go out to dinner. Well, that was the plan, but we'll see how long we're stuck in this elevator. Drew scooted closer to her and looked in her purse. Alexa pushed it toward him, so he could see better in the dim light. She never let people poke around in her purse, but hey, this was a cute guy in a weird situation. Okay, good. We have sustenance if we're stuck here for hours. Champagne is so convenient because no corkscrew is needed, and then we've got. Oh, look at that, cheese and crackers, the perfect stuck in an elevator snack. She leaned back against the wood-paneled wall. Have you been stuck in an elevator before with a variety of snacks and been able to determine which ones are best for this situation? She asked. No, but come on, cheese and crackers are obviously the best possible option here. First of all, you had the foresight to bring a soft cheese, so we won't need a knife to cut it. We can just use the crackers to pull off bits and spread it with our fingers. And second, have you ever not enjoyed cheese and crackers? Ever not thought, oh boy, these cheese and crackers are exactly what I need right now? She considered for a moment. Stop even thinking about it, he said. You know the answer is no. Cheese and crackers are objectively the perfect snack. She laughed and pried his fingers away from the box of crackers. Okay, fine, you're right. But you didn't manage to talk me into sharing Olivia's you-made partner cheese and crackers with you, you know. He stretched his legs out along the floor and took another glance into her purse. I was afraid of that. Well, I can only hope we'll be here so long that you'll take pity on me. She slipped her shoes halfway off, just enough to relieve the pressure on her toes. No offense, Drew, but my goal is not to be stuck in this elevator with you all night. Although those abs. No, remember Olivia? Her sister? Right, Olivia. Okay. Yes, Olivia. Time to ask him another question so she'd stop staring. Don't you have plans tonight? What are you doing here in San Francisco for the weekend anyway? He made a face. Wedding. She made a face back at him. Don't say it like it's a prison sentence. He slumped against the wall. If prison sentences lasted for a weekend, this one would qualify. Okay, fine, a prison in a cushy hotel, but still. She looked around at the dim, still elevator. Not so cushy right now. What's so terrible about this wedding? He threw his hands in the air. Let me count the ways. He held up one finger. 1. It's my ex-girlfriend's wedding. Alexa winced. She'd been there. Ex's weddings were always a trial, even in the best circumstances. Second finger. 2. She's marrying one of my best friends from med school. Alexa covered her eyes. Okay, he maybe had a point. Were they? Quote. No, she wasn't cheating on me with him, but let's just say I wasn't particularly pleased about how it all happened, shall we? Ouch. Well, I understand why you. He held up a third finger. 3. She sat up straight. There's another one? A third finger? Oh yes. He waved his middle finger in the air. As a matter of fact, this is the worst of the fingers. 3. I am a groomsman. She swung around and faced him, mouth wide open. Are you kidding me? A groomsman? What? Why? How? Yes, you were asking the important questions. The ones that Josh, Molly, and I all should have asked before this nightmare of a wedding weekend started. What and why indeed? What could have possibly inspired him to ask me to be a groomsman? Why would he do that? Why would she allow it? Why would I say yes? How did this happen? All of those questions should have been asked, and yet, here we all are. Oh my God, Drew. That's almost enough for me to give you some cheese. He patted her shoulder. Cheese? Hell, if he'd let his hand linger there for a few more seconds, she would have given him a lot more than cheese. Alexa, I'm touched. I truly am. And then, he waved another finger in the air. There's 4. Oh good lord, what could 4 possibly be? Are your divorced parents coming to the wedding with their spouses, too, or something? He laughed. No, but good guess. What a nightmare that would be. No, 4 is that I am not only a groomsman in the wedding of my ex-girlfriend and former best friend, but I am a dateless groomsman in the wedding of my ex-girlfriend and former best friend. My date bailed on me at the last minute, so I'm going to look pathetic, and I'll probably get drunk and hit on a bridesmaid. The whole thing is going to be a nightmare. She brushed that off with a wave of her hand. Oh please, you'll be fine. Weddings are great places to meet people. It's better that you're without a date. As my friend Colleen always says, don't bring a sandwich to a buffet. He let out a bark of laughter. I'm definitely going to steal that saying. And while in most situations I would say that your friend Colleen is totally right, this is that 5% of situations where a sandwich would save me from all of the food poisoning in the buffet. I'm going to get so many pitying looks, you have no idea. And the worst part is that I RSVP'd with a +1, so there's going to be an empty seat at the head table. And lots of, what happened to your girlfriend, Drew, couldn't make it? And I'm going to have to smile and take it, but there's like a 30% possibility I'm going to have one too many glasses of bourbon and go rogue. She touched his hand and tried not to linger there. Okay, yes, sometimes a sandwich is a necessary security blanket. I'm sorry that yours bailed on you. He looked down into her purse again. Alexa, I'm going to need you to stop talking about sandwiches if you don't want me to steal that cheese. She grabbed her purse and moved it to her other side. Now temptation is farther away. Isn't that better? He looked at her, at the purse, back at her. She smiled and kept her hand on the strap. So, Drew, what happened to your girlfriend? He narrowed his eyes at her, and she laughed again. Okay, first of all, Emma wasn't my girlfriend. We were just hanging out, that's all. Alexa frowned at him. This guy had to be in his 30s like her. Hadn't people stopped, just hanging out with people by their 30s? Don't look at me like that. I'm not a girlfriend kind of guy. And when I could tell that she might want something more serious, I ended it. I was nice about it. I don't do girlfriends. I haven't had a girlfriend since. Quote. He sighed. Molly. Anyway. Except I forgot that I needed a date for this damn wedding. Alexa pointed to the 4th finger that he'd raised in the air. Wait, she said. How, exactly, is that your date, bailing, on you? He shook the finger at her. Don't do that. Don't blame this on me. It's not my fault. It's not her fault. Either, she was going to come to the wedding with me anyway, but her dad's having surgery tomorrow, so she couldn't come. Those ab muscles moved in a lovely way when he sighed. And, of course, I'm sorry about her dad. I don't blame her for that at all. I do, however, think this is just more evidence that I've been cursed when it comes to this wedding. Alexa laughed and relaxed against the wall. If she happened to move closer to Drew while doing so, that was just an extra benefit. Hey, it's not like she was in danger of becoming this guy's not girlfriend. She could at least get a few accidental touches of his arm in before this elevator started back up again. You probably did something to deserve it. Drew reached around her and grabbed her purse. Oh, really? I pour out my heart to you about this nightmare of a wedding and how now I won't have a date and all of the terrible things that will happen to me because of that. And when you hear my tale of woe, you tell me that I did something to deserve it? Just for that, I'm taking some cheese. He reached into her purse but hesitated for a second and raised his eyebrows at her. She sighed and nodded. Okay, fine, you can have a little cheese, but you'd better save some for Olivia. And no tearing it off with your fingers. What kind of a Neanderthal do you think I am? There's a knife in there. He beamed at her. Good Lord, that was a dangerous smile. She looked away and found the butter knife so she wouldn't throw herself at him. He'd just bitten into his third cheese-laden cracker when the overhead lights came on and the elevator started with a jerk. Wow, are we actually moving? She sat upright. Looks like I won't have to tackle you for the champagne next. Drew got to his feet and reached out a hand to help her up. Was it just her imagination that his hand lingered in hers? Probably. She had a very active imagination. It helped to make up for her current lack of a romantic life. In no time at all, they reached the 16th floor. Alexa was treated to one more glimpse of those abs as he pulled his jacket on. Looks like your sister and I are on the same floor, he said as they got off together. Looks like it. She smiled up at him for a second before she had to look away from those eyes again. Which way is she? They both looked up at the arrow signs by the elevator bank. This way, she said, pointing to the left. He consulted his room key. Ah, I'm that way. He pointed to the right. They smiled at each other and didn't say anything for a moment. I can honestly say that I've never had a more entertaining time in an elevator. Thanks for that. He reached out a hand. Likewise. Alexa shook it. Good luck at the wedding. He laughed and grimaced. Don't remind me. Congratulations to your sister. She thanked him and walked down the hall toward Olivia's room. She wished she knew what else she could or should have said to keep talking to him longer. She sighed and kept walking. Alexa, wait. This was crazy. Drew knew, objectively, that what he was about to do was crazy. But as she turned to walk away, he shouted for her to stop a split second later. Yeah? She turned. You can't have the rest of the cheese, not even as a parting gift. Okay, here was his opportunity to play it off. Pretend that that's what he was asking for. Banter with this cute and funny woman with the great cleavage one last time. Then turn around and go to his hotel room and get ready for this brutal weekend. Well, when you put it like that, maybe this wasn't so crazy. You wouldn't be free this weekend, would you? How long is your sister in town? No turning back now. She leaves tomorrow after her deposition. I'm working on Saturday. I have an event at working on Saturday. What about Saturday night? Even Friday night? Oh please, let her be free, now that he'd gone that far. Well, I have to be my date this weekend? Please? The wedding isn't until Saturday night, so that would work, right? If you can't do Friday night I understand, but if there's any way you could come to the rehearsal dinner with me, I would. I don't know what I would do. Really appreciate it? Buy you all the cheese you wanted? How did he go from zero to babbling and pleading with this woman in 30 seconds flat? Drew, are you sure? He smiled. With that question, he knew he'd almost got her. Positive. Come to the wedding, be my sandwich, protect me from poisoning and disaster. It'll be your good deed for the year. And it's only May. Look at you, getting your good deed for the year done before the year is even half over. He was so close to victory. He could tell by the smile in her eyes as she looked up at him. Come on, Alexa. He touched her shoulder. Save me. She took a deep breath, and he held his as she considered. When you put it like that, what else can I say? I'll do it. He pulled her into a hug. Her champagne bottle-laden purse clanked against his butt, and they both laughed. You won't regret this. He pulled back and grabbed his phone out of his pocket. Wait. Give me your number. He typed in her number as she recited it. There, I texted you, so you have mine. I'll send you all of the details later. He turned to leave before she could say anything else. Okay, but Drew, are you? See you tomorrow, Alexa. Congratulations again to your sister. He sped down the hall with his suitcase, not giving her a chance to back out. Alexa stared at Drew's back for a few seconds. Had that really happened? Had that cute stranger just asked her to be his date for a wedding? And had she really said yes? She turned and raced down the hall to Olivia's room and knocked on the door. Olivia threw open the door and pulled her into a tight hug. Get in here. They grinned at each other and hugged again. It was great to see her sister, it really was. Your hair looks amazing, Alexa said. The pictures on Facebook do not do that, Fro Justice. Olivia looked her over and frowned in that way older sisters can. The outfit is great, and I love the shoes, but I thought you were going to get blonde highlights? What happened? Alexa shrugged. Sorry, I chickened out. I didn't think I could pull off the blonde. Olivia made a face at her. Haven't we been over this? Look at Beyoncé. Alexa laughed. I know I'm the same skin color as Beyoncé, but me and her blonde weave wouldn't go over too well during city council meetings. Even though I work in Berkeley, I still work for the mayor, you know. Olivia plopped down on the bed. Oh please, you could get away with some blonde highlights, easy. But then, you always were the risk-averse one. Alexa opened her mouth to argue but thought better of it. She was here to improve her relationship with her sister, remember? Look what I brought you, she said instead. She pulled the champagne and the cheese and crackers out of her purse. Not quite sure how cold the champagne is anymore, but we still have to drink it. And I heroically saved most of the cheese and crackers from the guy the first was stuck in the elevator with, so we'd better enjoy them. Well, of course we still have to drink that champagne. Gimme. Olivia grabbed the hotel water glasses as Alexa pulled the foil off the champagne bottle. I can't believe you were stuck in the elevator all that time. And why weren't you texting me back? Was your battery out? Okay, there's a story there, but let's toast to you before I get into all of that. She twisted the metal tie open and pulled out the cork with a gentle pop. After she poured a healthy amount into each of their glasses, she held hers up. To Olivia Monroe, the first black female partner at Palmer, Young and Stewart in over 10 years. To a brilliant lawyer, but most importantly the best big sister a girl could have. Are you trying to make me cry? Olivia said. It's not working. I don't care if you see water in my eyes, it's just because I'm allergic to this carpet. Alexa smiled and clanked her glass against Olivia's. Cheers to you. They both drank, hugged again, and drank some more. What time is our dinner reservation? Are we going to be late? Alexa took another sip of champagne and checked the time. Reservations are at 8 and it's not even 7 yet. Have some cheese. Olivia reached for the champagne bottle and refilled their glasses. Oh wait, what was the story from the elevator? Why weren't you texting me back? I was worried that you were, like, eaten by the elevator monster or something. Elevator monster. Olivia Grace, you couldn't come up with a better fake worry than the elevator monster. The champagne is already going to my head, and I had a 6-hour flight today, so give me a break. Tell me this story immediately. Olivia set her glass down on the nightstand and gave her a stern look. Damn, do I feel sorry for whoever you're deposing tomorrow. Does everyone you give that look to automatically spill their guts? Alexa took a fortifying sip of champagne. The real Olivia slipped out from behind the lawyer face as she grinned. Basically, so start spilling. Alexa took a deep breath. It had just happened a few minutes ago, and this story still didn't seem like it had happened to her. So, the other person in the elevator with me was a guy? Olivia nodded. Obviously, otherwise you would have texted me back. Alexa kept talking so she wouldn't lose her nerve. A cute guy. Come on, am I an idiot? Of course he was cute. He wouldn't have even known of the existence of the cheese and crackers in your purse if he wasn't. But I feel like that's not the end of this story. Wait. Olivia looked Alexa up and down. That dress looks like it's easy to get in and out of. I am going to be so proud of you if you had a quickie in the Fairmont Hotel elevator.